I heard their meetings are top secret. No, I'm kidding.
They're usually recorded.
I know.
All right. I don't want to leave, just be there. Yep. Do you have a ringtone? That is. It says it's recording.
Well, and it doesn't say, yeah, when I talk, the microphone is showing up green, so that's,
It's picking it up.
it's picking it.
It wasn't plugged in. We're good.
That message was probably just left from before.
Well, no, this was unplugged.
Right, but that's what I was saying. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why that message was up there.
Sounds good. All right, guys, we have a quorum. Yay.
So Danny, was that,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's doing drama club.
I am too.
Too busy.
I'm hoping they will schedule a time that I can actually get there. Not gonna have much time.
Oh, but you know how much people rehearse and learn their lines before the shows.
Yeah, extremely. Oh my God.
Very professional.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. Hurry, it's 7:05. Let's officially call the meeting to order. You're fine. Let's start with the minutes from the 19th.
Yes.
Thanks. Did anyone have any update from the minutes?
No, I just have one
Oh,
comment. Should the secretary who's taking the minutes put their name at the bottom at the end of the minutes?
I think it's optional.
It's optional.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Sometimes it says respectfully submitted by,
Did it on the library, but then I saw people
Oh.
were doing it. I don't know. Maybe it's required.
well, we identify at the top that Russ is the secretary.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I have edit with here.
Go for it.
So, public comment B,
Yep.
I think it's referencing what's being discussed in A3. So
Yes.
Should it just be lumped into A3?
Sure.
I want it-
Yep.
And somewhere down below it mentions Cam, and I thought, should we let Cam Lockwood as a guest? So that people know who Cam is,
Well, I didn't know.
or just write.
Only
another
because,
Lockwood?
There's a bunch of people here. I don't
Oh,
have to write
yeah.
for everybody.
Well, maybe you just write Kendall Lockwood instead of
Okay.
Cam.
Yeah. Yeah. Cam
Yeah.
can be in guess.
Yeah.
And then just a teeny typo in new business B are happening, because are. In other words, the letter R, the fifth way E.
New business B. To obtain.
B, the first line R just needs to be. Oh, yeah. Okay, okay. Are happening?
I don't know. where
Where
you're
does
looking.
it say?
Be Christine, add to
Oh.
interview that no big
Yeah.
changes are happening. Yep.
Thank you for taking that. Know what you all were talking about. I don't know, listening to the recording is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
That's how I wrote. I just sat there all Sunday morning and listened to the whole
Oh,
thing.
the audio.
It's too hard. I can't listen and write and talk at the same time. It's like.
It's super hard to interact with the meeting when
Yeah.
you're taking that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of good to know that because I
Much
thought, wow,
appreciated.
we've got all those details. That's really great.
So what I did.
Well, let
I
me
did that
explain how
thing.
we did it.
Yeah, yeah.
Karen said, you can download the Zoom meeting and it's a voice file.
Yeah.
Pop it in the Word and it writes.
Oh,
And
that's
then
right.
But it just says speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, but like Pam's one of the first, it's speaker 1, so I click that and say Pam. they all-
And they all populate to Pam.
So once in a while, somebody was here, and I don't know whose voice it was, but Dan's voice, I clicked him and I heard him talk, but it also picked a whole bunch of people after I know he left. It still says Dan. So I don't know why.
Thanks,
I
Ben.
didn't delete-
Yeah, oh, that's
Uh,
funny.
Okay, good job.
Yeah.
Someone want to make a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I make the motion.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to.
And you're abstaining, yep. So accepted. Okay. As amended. Minutes are now accepted. So. Old business, that's. Nothing new in there at the moment. Let's go right down to new business. And our current update of. Our document to follow with our interviewees. Did anyone have any edits or updates? From this is what, the third revision or
yeah.
fourth? Yeah,
Just one comment at the very end. I had added, please rank these from favorite.
Yeah.
one to seven. And then I noticed when I was reviewing the draft minutes that Christine had made a note that we should mention to everyone that no changes will be made this year and the planning board may not be ready to present any ideas even by March 2025.
yes,
So I added that to mine, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I
well,
think that.
why don't you go ahead and add it to it, and that'll be revision 4.
Okay. All right.
Anything else? I will pass it along. Christine was hoping to be here, but she's been held up. One question she asked with or wondered if we could add as a question on something like the row cottages. To possibly ask, where would you envision something like this? If someone says that, yes, they could see this,
Okay.
ask them where they would envision it. As a way of helping the planning board to think about, if it is one that garners good attention. It would also help with identifying where people would be possibly satisfied with.
Okay.
Is there
Okay.
a-
So I added that.
Is there a reason to ask that for?
Well,
Since we
I'm
have-
going to the one, I'm going to the plan development. Pocket neighborhood, the same thing. And then the big house, little house, back house barn, which is the first one, connected farmhouse.
But you know,
That one is so rural for Temple, and we have them in existence now. They just can't build them now.
but that brings
That I
up,
didn't think that one needed it, but what are your thoughts?
well, Cam brought up a good point at the last meeting. It's, we have really no control over who owns land and who sells land and who's going to buy it. So trying
That's
to
right.
determine where we could see this, I think is, I don't know if that would bring us anything.
I think the only reason is for zoning purposes, we can
Right.
say if it's in a certain section of town, so for instance, like if it's a multifamily. Or any of these that are different than what we currently have.
Yep.
We could say, well, we only really want it in. This particular section because we're trying to preserve.
Okay.
Or the rest of the town, right?
Okay.
So like, I think I was reading some other town zoning ordinance, I think maybe it's Mason, and they distinctly have a strip. That they have different zoning for to allow more densely built houses.
Oh, okay.
In
Okay.
town. So I think
Okay.
that's what you.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
I don't have any changes, I forget.
I do too. With those that we just spoke about.
Yes.
Do you think that question
So you want
should
that-
be added to the duplexes or no? Because it looks like a single family that one isn't as important. It was the village note or the,
in option 1, option 2,
yeah,
and,
and the plan development, but once again, that's.
okay, yeah, okay.
But as far as the duplex is meant to look like a single family home, just with two entrances.
But a lot of them don't.
But then that's our zoning, like form-based code and that they talked about.
Space that Ivy was talking about was really just like overall max size. I don't think we can get two.
You can, right?
A
I mean, I
town
think
can
what
do
I've been told
anything.
is you can get more specific. You can
Yep.
say it has to look a certain way.
Yep.
It has
Okay.
to,
You define the district,
you
Yep.
define.
like, so you can say everything has to be
Yeah.
boards and white.
Mhm.
Okay.
You want it to match the surrounding. You can't be like,
And white windows. That's my little,
yeah.
that's,
That makes sense for the appropriate district. Does that mean that we also? Could we define what a duplex has to look like, or do we have to?
Yes.
Instead
Yes.
define
No, we-
district?
No, we can define the building
Oh,
itself.
you should define it.
we can define it for a specific district. Like, once again, if it's in the, if it's here, define it for here, we could define it for the agricultural rural.
What duplex could be maybe.
That it has to have one door and, or two parking spots or whatever, all those details.
Right, I don't think you can find specific architecture or style, you can't say it has to be a. Colonial or. Different architecture styles. I think you
Well, I
can
think-
just say things like a duplex has to have one single door in the front leading to two dwellings or something like that.
You don't think like in the agriculture rural that you would,
Don't think you can tell somebody that exactly what their house has to look like. I think-
that goes back to, was it Cam or was it Christine that said, I forget what town it was, that has builders who have developed models. And the town has chosen,
To use some of those.
yeah,
That might be Christine that was talking.
that was
about
probably
that.
Christine. Yeah. I don't know if Temple wants to go that far or not, but that'll be up to the people. But so back to the question.
Yeah, I'm just reading a thing online that says like, for form-based code, the building forms standards regulate like the distance from the building to the sidewalk, the building window area, height in relation to street, entrances and parking. So I think that it doesn't
So you,
define the style of the house, right?
right.
Yeah.
Just meet some of those criteria.
Right.
I have that, this house is brick, even though I have all these things.
Yeah.
This house is cedar shingles.
Mhm, mhm.
I guess what started all of this was just the suggestion that the duplex might be worth adding to that list of, where would you want this?
Where could you see it?
It might not be something that they want in the village center, especially because we can't define it that precise.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I think you can in the village.
In a
because
historic
it's
It's
historic,
historic.
so you can make things in a historic district.
And
Conform to other things, because you've defined a historic district.
very,
Well, there's the historic district and then there's the village district, right?
They can overlap.
Oh, yes, yes. So they can have the same, a lot of the same, okay.
is there any of the village district that's not in the historic district?
Yes,
I think there is,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the
because
historic district is like just right here.
Yeah, just-
right?
right in the
So
center
your,
of town.
does your house fall in the village district?
No,
or
oh, the village
yeah.
district, but not the historic.
Not the
district.
historic. Which one?
Who's it?
Vince? For the corner there, is it?
Oh, you mean Lori?
Okay, Lori, sorry.
Yes, yeah, hers is, but David's is not. I think it was dependent on if the owners at the time wanted to be in the village, in the historic district. Although I heard rumor, and I have to figure out what the truth is behind this, that it's like within a certain number of feet from the flagpole.
No,
Hmm.
all the more reason why we don't want to move that flagpole. Oh, okay. So yes, so the question is, do we add, where would you want, where could do envision a duplex within Temple?
I don't think it hurts to ask that question. It's
Okay.
just more data.
Okay, so once those edits, well, knowing this lady here, will be done before we leave here tonight, and then I'll forward them on to you tomorrow. I'll give you the new format or the updated format. And a reminder, don't forget, when you've done an interview, just let me know who it was so that we're not overlapping. That'd be so helpful.
Do we have any more requests?
I have it. I mean, we can go seek whomever. You missed it. It's over. Yeah, nobody's reached out to me. I did have it put in the newsletter, the Ladies Aid newsletter with my phone number and my email address. I thought it's one more place. And we'll have an email blast go out as well with the e-alerts or whatever.
Yeah.
But can you think of anything else?
Did you post it to the Facebook?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, I want to make sure we had this done and ready to go.
So if somebody wants an interview, who are they contacting you? Then you're assigning, like, how would they know to contact me, for instance?
Well, I can
Yeah.
ask them. I
Because
can
put your
say.
photo at the
"Here's
post
who-"
office.
What?
What?
What'd you say?
Put your photo at the post office.
I'll just say, these are the members of the committee. Who would you like to have your interview with?
Okay,
Is what. I didn't ask permission to have all your numbers put in the newsletter,
Yeah.
so I thought that's
No, that was
the
a good
easiest
idea.
way to.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get it in, it was like 2 days before the deadline. So I can just say who's in there, and if they're friends of yours, they'll say, oh, I know Russ.
Yeah.
That sound
Yes, that sounds good.
good?
It'd be nice if you were flooded.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also on us to like.
Reach out,
And
right.
go talk to our neighbors and.
Yep, everybody would
Get as
know.
many as you can, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't have to just be the list.
Exactly. And I know last meeting we talked about the recording. I sent you all the information on how to do that. And I think, once looking at it, and I know you just had success with the minutes, it's up to you. If you can take good notes with whomever you're speaking with, take good notes. If you'd rather record it and, do the transcribing or whatever, feel free to do that. It's whatever works for you, but more importantly, make sure you ask the recipient if they're okay with being recorded. And if they say, yeah, not really, be prepared to do minutes or do note taking.
And if you don't know someone well, is it good etiquette to, after you've written down what they've said for a particular question, read it back to them and say, do you agree
Yeah.
with this?
Yeah, or when you're finished, just say, here are the notes I took tonight. Did I miss anything? Or is there anything that you want changed or amended? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, I think we're ready. And it's only the 4th of March. So we're good. We've got all of March and all of April to do this.
So how are we going to compile and share information?
So that'll start in June, unless you want us, if we can easily, I mean, if you can gather it.
These interview?
Well, we had talked about having a Google Doc
I mean, maybe.
on Google Drive.
Right. Is that still what people want to do?
Do we want a spreadsheet instead, so we can organize by?
Well, yeah, but then you'd have all the detail of the conversation too, right?
Well, you could spreadsheet the rankings, right?
Yeah.
And who was interviewed.
And when.
But you can,
I mean, it feels like it would be helpful to have the full, like, our full notes or the transcript or whatever it is somewhere else, just to rely on for a backup. But then as each of us finishes the interview, to go over our notes and just comb out the most pertinent points. Like whether it be their suggestions, whether it would be their pros and cons, maybe. And then so that we're just, because otherwise I feel like we're gonna be just, you know. flooded with
Pages of
information.
conversation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Come May and June to get that done.
So if we could, you know, for the duplexes, like they like this about them, they didn't like that, they thought they should be here, but not there. And just leave that, you know, leave all their comments kind of on the side so that if we need to react, we can. And I don't know what else we should store, but that's why I was saying spreadsheet, because you could just have, you know, for each option. You
Yeah.
could have. Even if it was a spreadsheet with a different tab for each option, then you could go into each and just say, okay, pros, cons, comments.
Well, what if you just have the ranking of the 7 options and you have the ranking? And then you summarize those at the end. And then you can, if you have the qualitative responses as a fallback.
Are the rankings the highest priority?
Well, we're asking them at the end, after they've gone through all 7, how they rank them 1 to 7.
As far as which they would want most like to see
Okay,
or could see in Temple.
I mean, ideally, at the end of doing all these interviews, right, we want to be able to make a recommendation to the planning board based on what we have in here. So I think as long as we can have the ability to discuss the content that we gathered.
Yep.
Maybe, and then have the rankings, right? Then maybe it doesn't. Cause I don't want to drown in paper, cause I feel like
Yeah.
we're like, nobody's gonna read all the interviews I did.
Right.
Or you did, or right, like, so I guess we need to be able to come back together and say, here was like the top takeaways and here are the rankings. Is that what people are thinking? Cause I just want to make sure we have a light at the end of the tunnel of like how exactly we're gonna compile all of this.
And we're all common. So
Yeah,
all I think is important, I don't know, the rankings, you wrote, they liked it, didn't like it, but it wasn't ranking.
right.
You wrote the
Mhm,
houses themselves instead of the ranking, you know what I mean? So
mhm.
we should all have a common, what we're all turning in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should all definitely do the ranking,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yep. The rank, I mean, almost an Excel file, but the ranking, but. And a column of where can you envision, because they might. They might rank something a 3, but they said, well, if Temple decides to have this, here's where I'd like to see it, right? So it might not be their number 1 choice of where they want it, but they have a comment about where they'd be okay seeing it in town.
right, and rankings have to be connected with where. Because if it's a ranking of a 1 in the Mountain District, but it's a ranking of a 3.
No.
I think we're getting way
Yeah.
more detailed.
The ranking that,
Yeah, because this is gonna, we'd have to have an AI program here set up.
well, and remember, the ranking,
Board, so we could.
Yeah,
the ranking was for visual preference only.
yeah.
That was the ranking, was visual preference
Oh,
somewhere in Temple. Or not in Temple.
okay,
I mean, I think at the end of this, we need to be able to come back and have an exercise together here of going through each of
Yep.
these options and saying,
Yes.
here's our feedback, and it can be anecdotal, right?
Yep.
And ranking, right? And just kind of like whiteboard it out or something and say, okay, well, this is what people said, so we, this is what we're going to recommend.
And also, we're, assuming we're all here, we'll be familiar with the interviews that we did.
Right.
And we can,
Speak to
so,
that.
yeah, so I think that might alleviate having to review all the information.
Right.
So is it important that we all use the same mechanism to collect our data is what my,
I don't
I mean, I
think
think
that
you
it
need to
is.
use what you're comfortable with, as long as we're all able to come back and know. Here's the overall ranking. And again, once you're all done with yours, you can take your ranking before we even come together and do, 1 through 7 and who got the most. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters whether you do an Excel file or a Google sheet, as long as you're able to come back and
Mhm.
remember what it was that was discussed at the interviews and share it. For the pros, cons, however you want to document it.
And all of that the highlights can be fed to the planning board as well.
Right.
Like the
Exactly.
readers.
Right. Yep.
I wonder if another question. We have what, 3 zones now, plus overlay zone? If the question of where should just direct be what zone? Because we're trying to make a zoning change or not make a zoning change, you could say where, and well, maybe on West.
Sure.
It's like you're gonna have 20 different roads.
Right.
Then where, you mean, is this appropriate for the village? Is this appropriate for mountain? Is it?
That
appropriate-
makes. sense.
Agriculture, rural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we would need some kind
I
of
think
map
that's
that we
good.
could show people, because most people are not gonna know,
they're not gonna even know what the zones are.
right, if they even know that there are zones.
That's true.
That's easy enough to get. You could print that out.
Yeah.
Maybe say, take and say, these are the zones, where do you think this would be appropriate?
Right.
Okay.
And we could,
Is that the master?
It's in the master plan.
it's somewhere.
So we can attach it.
Yeah,
It's in the
you can
master
get it.
plan. It's also, when did Bruce do his intro to zoning?
Last spring.
Yeah,
He had, yep, it's one of his slides that's in the minutes. Yeah, it was sometime in the spring of last year. Yeah. But yes, it's in the zoning, it's in the master plan as well. And anybody that asked for a printed copy of the master plan, we would have it.
oh, that's right, okay.
Well,
Did you get it yet?
I
from-
don't have it.
You have to find out where he's keeping it. Did he? Maybe did he ask for one? If he didn't ask for one, it wasn't printed. Because it was like, it was this thick.
Point is, I need a copy somehow.
Yeah,
Also,
So-
I have a copy of the master plan. I'll just make a copy for you. I'll give
Oh,
it to you. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
okay, what else? Okay, so we are doing our own, whatever format works for you.
Right, so
right?
we're just gonna be prepared to come back and discuss it as a group.
Yep.
And. Come, okay,
And that's gonna happen throughout the meetings in May,
okay,
and we need the beginning of June, so that by the end of June, we have something to deliver for July. Anything else on that? No? Okay, the last meeting, Christine had said she was gonna be getting or had just gotten the natural resources draft and asked if we could at least look at it and make comments to it. And I completely forgot it, so I put it under other business. If anyone has had a chance to read it, do you have any discussions that you want to share tonight that you can send back to Christine? Remembering that Carter you all have not even discussed it yet at the planning board. And Jeff from Moosewood Ecological is doing a forum in April, is that right?
That has nothing to do with this stuff. That's just the updated.
right, because this is really feedback on the master.
On the master plan,
This is
the land,
audit of
more
our
like the land
existing-
use.
He's auditing all of our regulations to see how much they are in line with protecting natural resources. What's happening on April 17th is they've just spent a year analyzing all of the natural resources in Temple, and that's what he's gonna be
Gotcha.
describing.
Cool stuff you found.
Yeah. So under the old business, this would actually fall under old business because it's still pending. We still haven't gotten the land use chapter yet, because I think this is what
Mentioned in there.
Carol,
Yeah.
right, I remember reading where he mentions Carol a couple times. So we're sort of looking at this without having I looked at the old land use chapter when reading it to try to make sense of where he was. But just for brief discussion, we don't have to necessarily go into tremendous detail unless there are thoughts on it, but anyone that had the opportunity to read it and have comments.
Couple of comments, but what struck me the most was there's a lot of information in here. Some of it is specific to housing. I realized a whole bunch. I want to bring this whole thing onto the Conservation Commission because there are a bunch of things related to that.
Yeah.
So it feels like this is an extremely valuable document, but I'm not exactly sure how to tackle it. It's a lot of information and what am I supposed to be like?
Because it fits in multiple places.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't sure if for our committee, should we be just, I mean, it seems logical that we would just
Housing.
be concentrating on his housing comments.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is fascinating. I'm so glad that, this was able to happen. The couple of things that I saw that were really cool, well, actually, they aren't all really cool, but interesting. Targeting businesses that align with our community and values, and I thought, and that align with getting jobs for low to mid-income people, so that they would have a place to work nearby as well as to live in town. I thought was really cool. I don't,
If we were able to offer that price point housing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, but also to not have to commute to Nashville.
Right.
Or something,
Concord, wherever.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it depends on what type of job. Because I know early on, we were talking about, wouldn't it be great if we could figure out a way to encourage people who want to start farms to move to Temple? So that it encourages the agricultural piece.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, if it was animal farming, it's such a lousy place for any kind of dirt farming. But that is really, I work for an organization, I support farmers in my day job, and that is not, it's not gonna bring many people in, it's incredibly hard work, a lot of people don't wanna do it. And not that we wanna target in here or something, but just the idea of not having Temple be such a bedroom community to actually have some businesses in here.
Well, we have over 80 businesses in town.
But they're not hiring young people, they're not hiring stay-at-home moms who need, some kind of part-time income to help,
But they are providing income for those people who live here and who have those small businesses
I
who
know,
wouldn't be
but
here
they're-
otherwise.
I know, but they're the owners, that's what I'm saying, we need businesses either that are home businesses that get bigger enough so that they can actually be employers. Or have other businesses. Anyway, we don't have to discuss this now, but that's just a fascinating thing that I thought we could add into, because that does fit in. It's not that we're gonna be defining the businesses, but that could certainly be one of the recommendations, for example, to the planning board. And the thing is, we're already into it'd be nice if this was earlier, because I could picture this putting this into our one-on-one interview thing. Climate change is as listed as a housing pressure. That confused me. Are they talking about like literally planning ahead for housing for refugees? Climate refugees?
No, they're talking about houses, they're making sure that they're
Energy
insulated
efficiency.
and energy efficient and all of that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I think that.
And are there, and
Yeah.
helping town residents who have
Okay.
older historic homes, finding grants to
Okay,
update
so
their,
that's like the energy.
exactly,
Yes.
yep.
Yep. And well, I guess a lot of these are just the planning board, that preserve the open space to limit. Preserving open space while also providing for some amount of development. I assume that's all planning board. that's not something we would.
I mean, I think it's. If there's a recommendation there, right, that we can make that. But I
Okay.
mean, again, it's hard when you have property owners, right?
Mhm.
Out here, it's not like we're just dealing with a bunch of town land, yeah.
Right. Yeah, but to your point, the things that spoke towards housing are things that we could certainly focus on and see as, when I say focus on, when we're reading it.
Yeah.
Again, read through it again. And see what may pertain to our workload.
I thought one theme kind of throughout that I noticed is in their comments around weaknesses, in a bunch of them, it says like, does not provide action items
Yep.
or objectives.
Mhm.
I thought that was interesting, because I don't know that even our revisions have that. And I didn't go and read
The ones
Carol and
that Carol and Ivy
Ivy's
have done?
latest versions, but I don't think we have that. And I thought it was just an interesting,
No,
as we're rewriting some of these chapters, is that something we want to include? Because I don't think
there's one.
historically we have, and I don't think in the updated versions that we are. And I'm not saying we should, but it's just kind of something that was in a few different places.
Well, it
that I
seems
read.
like there should, if it's a master plan, that anything that we value should have action items to it.
Correct.
I mean, they don't have to be my minuscule zero in focus. But there should be some sort of action items if it's something that it warrants being in a master plan.
And specific for the NRI, when Jeff has come to talk to us, you know, one of the things he's creating is a list of recommendations for things to specifically do to, you know, protect different natural resources.
Yeah.
So that's just one chapter, but it totally makes sense. to
Yeah.
have. You know, if we have a vision for the town, a vision statement, we should have steps to.
implement.
Which we need to leave room
Yeah.
and time in June to work on the vision statement, because that was one component that Christine wanted out of this group, was perhaps some more well-defined components to it.
Where are we getting?
As
that
in-
data?
Well, we've actually been gathering it every time someone's been speaking with us. As far as, you know, we hear rural character over and over again. So like she had said, we need a definition for rural character. And we've looked at the one that
The
the state has, which is still ambiguous.
Right.
She wanted it. What does it translate to that would hold up in court
It
if
might
someone
be
were to
it might be
challenge us?
interesting to ask Ivy, since she has worked with other small towns, what they have come up with for a rural character definition.
He has a whole list of them. Or unless it was just left to the town to do, and yeah, but it's worth asking.
Yeah, yeah.
I can add that to my list. Thanks,
Thank you.
ask Ivy. What else, Carter? You had said the theme. Was it one theme or themes?
It was just, I think I read that in multiple places.
Mhm.
The only other. There's a few places where things aren't, there's acronyms used that I don't know what they.
What's LID?
LID, and the driveway regulation, I'm like, I don't know. what
I
that-
underline, every time LID was used, it was in the economic.
I think it means low impact development, but,
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
but I don't.
Well, let's put it in the sentence everywhere we saw it. And
Yeah. And so maybe that's just feedback to them, is making sure, like, as that average person here is reading through it, like,
Yeah.
we don't know what LID means.
yes, because I don't know if this, just like we were asked, did we believe that Ivy's document should be part of the master plan? Remember that discussion?
Oh, right.
So this may end up being part of the master plans, all the more reason to define the acronyms. LID.
Yeah, LID is low, low
Low
impact.
impact, well, yeah.
What's the other one?
And some of it, I mean, again, as feedback for them, I think I would like also challenge them. Look, so on the very last page, they're talking about driveway regulations, which the planning board is talking about right now,
We're
so
working on,
it's-
yep,
near and dear, I guess. And one of the weaknesses, it says driveway regulations provide little to no incentives for LID practices. And I'm like, well, how would we provide an incentive for that, right? Like. Some
What are their
example, what
what
are
are
they
their-
saying? That's
Yeah.
right, what's the recommendation, I guess,
Yeah,
is where I.
yeah.
Well, Jeff's coming to the next meeting, right? The next planning board?
Yeah, I think, yeah, so I mean, I
Yeah.
can ask him these
Yeah.
questions there
That's
too.
Jeff.
well, that was my question when I had said, isn't Jeff coming to discuss this, or is he not?
Coming to a planning,
Right.
yeah,
I thought it was.
Is it
No.
tomorrow or the next one?
I have
The ninth.
not. tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
Uh,
I had a note in my calendar to make sure to go to the planning board meeting, and I think
I'm-
that was why.
I have to go tomorrow because I have to present Ivy's end of year.
Oh,
summary.
maybe that's why I was gonna go.
Yeah, more the merrier, more
Yeah.
support would be great.
Yeah, so maybe that, I mean, those are just, if you wanted to give Christine some feedback too, it would be like, well, we like. How?
Yeah.
What are the recommendations and in situations, it's not just that, there's others.
They're all
too.
throughout.
It almost feels
And
like this is a summary document and there's something else that has more
Yeah,
like details, but I don't.
Well,
I mean, this is, I like the way they laid it out, like,
Oh,
you know, it has a lot of good detail.
I like strengths, weaknesses, and
Oh,
I
definitely
really like that.
digging into stuff.
But I think this is what Carol is now going to use to really clean up the land use chapter, right? And of course, he's looking in this, he's looking at old things like
I know.
we don't have a transfer station, right?
Yeah.
We don't use Wilton Lineborough EMS anymore, we're Peterborough. So there are things like that. but-
Yeah, and there's some wording in here occasionally too, that it sounded like, you know, boilerplate stuff
Yeah,
for everybody.
yeah, I agree.
And I think we saw that a lot under the, yeah, the PC and the RC, the potential change and rural
Right,
rural
like-
concerns,
Like,
yeah.
introduce more sustainable practices. Well,
What is,
what are some examples?
that?
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. Yep,
I'm sorry, what is the date that Jeff is going to be speaking? Oh, thank you.
But yeah, I don't think we need to get too into the weeds doing.
No, I don't think.
I don't
no,
so.
that's what my feeling was, because it's really, like I said, he's working in tandem with Carol. We will get the land use chapter back once this has been incorporated. As well as the housing analysis, and that one we are supposed to, if we're still, if it's before July. Because we run out of money in July and we're supposed to be done. What else?
Well, we just
Um,
don't have any more consultants, right? We can.
Yeah, we can't do flyers and, or
Right.
forums and without,
I think by then
Money
we
for-
should be done, because otherwise it could drag on for like years.
Yeah, you could just keep doing it.
Yeah,
we've got it written down when we said we are gonna be done.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, 2 meetings a month for a year is a lot.
it is.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be, we're not quite there yet, but the last thing was gonna be, discussing
One meeting, though.
A lot of meetings,
Yeah.
where I,
It's because you're popular.
Yeah.
back to back.
You're gonna be happy because where I have under new business, discuss meetings for March and April. If we're doing interviews, do we need to be meeting?
No,
Well,
and I needed to skip a meeting anyway.
now you're not skipping. We'll get there in a
Like-
second. There was something on here,
Yeah, I was looking for you.
that I found really interesting, and it was about the community services. And keeping it in the village area, because by pulling it out of the village area, it promotes urban sprawl. Where was that?
Page 6.
Which I found really interesting with what we're going through right now.
Yeah, and lack of access to.
Where was it?
It's
Reduce
second
sprawl,
under
right?
PC,
I thought, what page was it, Charlie?
page 6,
Under PC?
yeah.
Yeah, reduce sprawl by keeping
right.
community facilities, including schools, in locations that minimize negative environmental impacts and maximize transportation efficiency.
Late on the school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and if it doesn't exist anymore, then. So much for the
yeah.
maximizing transportation.
I thought the comment on page 6 underneath, at the very bottom, economic development,
Mhm.
where he says, under the, weakness, dependent on the makeup of the committee, eagerness to attract business could override environmental concerns.
Yeah, that was not good.
I don't think that needs to be in a document.
No. No, that could,
Because you can't, if someone wants to be on the planning board, they run for planning board.
yeah,
He said similar things in other places, where, page 4. So he could just remove the first part for the.
no, that whole bullet
Attract-
point needs to go, I think.
Yeah,
I agree
I-
with you.
Highlighted and wrote, why is this in here?
It's like development means override environmental protection.
Yeah, the whole point is to protect the environment.
But my
Well,
feeling is, don't talk about the committee, because
Yeah,
But the point is that attracting businesses can be at odds
right,
with environmental concerns.
eagerness to attract businesses
Yes, so that.
could override environmental concerns.
oh, I
That's,
see.
that's
I see.
legit.
Okay,
Yeah, just
okay.
delete the first part.
But the part that says depend on the makeup of the committee, well, you're not gonna, unless you're gonna be able to have an action step on that, which you can't. It doesn't have any reason to be in there, was what my feeling was. I think that was all I mean, we hit most of the other things.
It would be really nice if they could dive into the sustainable practices about the construction materials and the
Yeah.
sand tips and the figuring out, and that was where I was thinking too about the Concom, but about what there was something about addressing hydrologic connectivity and groundwater protections as opposed to examining groundwater as a map for locating sand. I was like, what a novel idea. But yeah, those kinds of things.
Yeah. Anything else on that?
Not for me.
The only thing that came to my mind, because I'm currently working on choosing plants for obviously new landscaping and a new build, was should we have in our master plan invasive plants that are restricted in Temple?
Invasives are covered in the NRI. we're not specifically listing those resources. I'm sure we can find stuff like from UNH that would say,
What's invasive?
yeah.
There-
like,
there's tons.
I mean,
right, I'm just trying to think of some.
I know it's a huge
New Hampshire,
thing,
it's gonna be thorough and,
but it's just to educate, because it protects our wildlands, it protects our
Mhm.
waters,
Mhm.
all those kinds of things.
I think it's a good
Seems
idea.
like if we could draw from UNH, even if we just included a UNH document somewhere in our master plan,
Mhm.
or link to it, but yeah.
or link to
I
it
think that
to,
should be in the NRI.
in the NRI.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Only because one of my old time favorites is now a invasive species, but it wasn't when I used it in 1990.
What was
What
it?
is it?
Purple loosestripe.
Oh,
Hey, Virginia was
Yeah.
not invasive. It was I mean, it was
Right,
readily used and it was still all in,
well, what's
but that's the
funny,
nineties, right?
all grass, all the hay, everything that we grow here for agriculture.
Agriculture.
Is all invasive, because none of it's natural, it all came from Europe,
Right.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, it's like the maple.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of the herbs, most of the stuff that's growing on it isn't really.
It's like the maples we have in our front yard. They're not considered invasive.
The Norway, is it a
Yeah.
Norway maple? Yeah,
3 of them.
yeah.
Well, they are invasive.
Yeah, they are. Oh my God, they have like 50 million helicopters.
I mean, they are claimed as invasive.
No, I know they
Oh, I
are.
thought you said they weren't. My.
No, no,
I
no.
misheard
Oh,
you.
no, I know they
Sorry,
are.
sorry. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, here, you know what, on the natural resources and weakness, it says lack of focus on maintaining or increasing ecosystem health through restoration and invasive species control. I thought it was kind of funny that he was talking about his own natural resources chapter.
where are you at?
Page 9, under the weaknesses for the natural resources. It's, the second one, so. That's why I would love to like tackle this whole section on the natural resource thing, Concom, so that we can. So at least, you know, it's listed as a. Weakness.
And the Concom has time to do it?
Not at our next meeting, but I mean, I can't speak for the Concom.
Yeah,
I'm just
but before
bringing it
the-
up, so.
Okay, so. Lastly, so we said March and April, no, so March 18th meeting is canceled.
Should we just plan to keep our other meetings until like the land use chapter comes through and then we can have a meeting to discuss that, or are you thinking that we're not gonna be ready? Just Carol will give any kind of-
She hasn't, I have not had any communication with Carol. So the 18th is canceled for sure. That gets us through March.
The next
Do you
one's
want me to
April
leave
1st.
April 1st until we get closer?
I can't do that one.
I can't. Oh, wait. No, I can.
You were just fooling.
I mean, we may find, because obviously we'll be communicating with our interviews and everything.
I mean,
And
I
I-
think taking one
I
month
can,
from like in April to like.
and it doesn't have to be the 1st, it could be the 15th if everybody else is, everybody.
Tax
You're running to.
Is there a day, April 1st or 15th, which is better for everyone that's in this room right now?
I
For one meeting in April,
Oh,
touch base, and if we've gotten a chapter, we can work on it. Preference?
Either one.
Yeah, I mean, 15th is fine for me, I guess.
15th is better.
I'm tired of seeing people on Sunday for Easter, so.
All right, then April 15th is our next one then.
Answering that.
Yep. Cancel the first, cancel March 18th, and then. And hopefully we'll be busy doing our interviews.
April 29th is still on.
No,
No,
no.
No, just one in April.
Okay.
So that's still interview time. And whatever we get between now and April 15th, as far as if we get a chapter from Carol, we can review it at that one meeting.
So heads up in May, one, all the Memorial Day.
Oh, yay, you don't have that one. Cancel that. Yeah.
the minutes are gonna consist of all the meetings that I canceled.
May 7th. Might as well cancel these all at the same time.
So May 13th.
We have the 13th, but we're gonna cancel this 27th.
Are you gonna be sending out a memo to everybody? I figured.
And so first. March 18th, May 27th. And I'll also send it to Carol. And keep the 15th. Okay, anybody have anything else?
I don't.
No? Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nice job, guys. And you've sent that already, haven't you? I knew you would.
One less thing to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Find the mouse.
All